Hello, hello. Welcome to Prevention Talk Episode 5. My name is Monica Valderas. I work for Family Support Services. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm going to give it a little bit of time for some people to jump on. I'm not going to give it too much time because I'm super excited about today's topic. I'm super excited about the conversation that we're going to have today. And so, if you will, these first 2 minutes, let's share this live stream. Let's tag people who you think might want to hear this conversation. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics. One of my favorite things to teach on, one of my favorite classes to give. And so this is going to be really exciting for you, those of you that have any kind of relationship, whether it's a professional relationship, whether it is a romantic relationship, maybe a relationship with your child, a friendship. If you are in any kind of relationship, today's broadcast is for you. I'm so excited about it. Tag the people that you live with, tag the people that you do life with, tag your best friends, tag your coworkers that you hang out with. Share this with people. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of time for some people to jump on. I'm also going to share this on some other platforms that we have. So if you'll give me just one moment. There are some people who don't have Facebook that wanted to connect to the live stream. So I'm going to see if I have the option to do that. Does anybody know? Now, just a reminder, I can see your comments. So if you have questions or if you have comments, if you want to just say, hey, I'm here, like Casey. Casey says, hey, I'm here. I'm so excited. Edith is here. Hi, Edith. Good to see you. Christina is here. It's so great to see you. Tag your people in the comments. Let us know that you're here. Let's see. So, once again, my name is Monica Balderas. I work for Family Support Services. I have been here at the agency for about 7 years, going on 8 years. I love this agency. We do so many different things. We have crisis services, we have clinical services, we have prevention education. We do so much. So many people don't know about us because, one, they've never been in a domestic violence situation or they've never needed counseling. And so they don't realize that we have a lot of these other services that we provide. So about a month and a half ago, me and my team were talking about how could we get the education that we provide in the community out to the community. Because of COVID-19, we haven't been able to go into the schools. We haven't been able to do our face-to-face groups. We've had so many restrictions. And so we thought, hey, let's do a live stream. Let's get out our information in the easiest way possible. And it just happened to be this live stream. So we created this live stream with the intention of bringing prevention education to you and your family, to the community, to program providers, anybody who just needs a little bit of extra information. We also brought it to bring agency news and new programs that we're hosting here at Family Support Services. And we also wanted to highlight some of the programs out in the community that might not be a part of the Family Support Services, but could still be a blessing to other people. And so that is the primary purpose of this live stream. If you're watching, just to let you know, we come live every single Friday at noon. So join us every Friday for a different topic. The topics range from parenting to relationship building, drug and alcohol prevention, suicide prevention, different things like that. If you have any questions at any point of this broadcast, please feel free to put them down in the comments. I can see your comments. I will try my hardest to get to every single question that is out there. So I want to go ahead and bring today's guest on. I'm super excited to have him join me. He has been at the agency for a little while now. He does our prevention, drug and alcohol prevention. And so let's go ahead and bring him on.
Hello.
Teddy.
Hey, what's up?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm loving the weather outside. It's beautiful weather for me. It's
I
my favorite kind.
agree. You
Yeah.
know, I have been kind of on this spring kick this week because the weather has just been so nice and so sunny and bright. But today, let me tell you, today I felt a little bit of connected a little bit to the weather. It just is so beautiful and it's so nice. So yeah, I agree with you. Now, for those of you that don't know Teddy, Teddy has done our drug and alcohol prevention program that focuses on the rural communities here around Amarillo. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I do the drug and alcohol prevention, of course, for family support services. I created a program called the Aware 806, and what I do is I talk about I share with students the harmful effects and bringing awareness of the harmful effects that drugs and alcohol can have on the human body, right? And so I share that with the rural communities. Right now, I'm sharing lessons with Vega. I'm in the talks with Nazareth right now, and I'm just excited to share this content because students do have questions. Students have a lot of things that they want to know about drugs and alcohol. Sometimes it's I'm asking for a friend, or it's them themselves that need this. So it's really good that I get to share just the prevention part of it, and just to share what is going on in drugs and alcohol, because there's so much stuff that's coming out now, so many different things that students are messing with. So
Right. So we're so fortunate to have you here on our team because I think kids, they really connect to you, especially when you go in there with your music and just the personality that you have. People, kids specifically, they connect so well to you. So I'm fortunate to have you on our team. We're excited to have you here today. I'm glad that you can join me for this broadcast. Let's
awesome.
go ahead and start introducing our topic. So when I was preparing for this live stream, I was kind of thinking about, what could our community benefit from right now? What is something that could be helpful to families in this moment right now? And I started talking to this girl I know on Facebook. Right now, I'm currently trying to teach my kids Spanish. I have failed as a bilingual parent, and my kids don't know Spanish very well. And so I saw an ad on Facebook of a friend who is doing Spanish classes for toddlers and for kids. And so this isn't like your super professional Spanish class. This is just a conversational, like an introduction to the Spanish language.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I guess I didn't realize how difficult it is to learn a new language. I grew up, both of my parents spoke Spanish and English. We primarily spoke English in our home, but I was able to pick up the Spanish language. My older sister probably knows how to speak Spanish a little better than I do. Um, for me, I feel like I can't speak English very well or Spanish very well, so it's just kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
But my little sister, she doesn't know very much Spanish. She can hold it down when she needs to, but I think it kind of digressed as more children were born. And so now with my kids, we try and speak Spanish to them, but our primary language is English. And so I'm like, man, they're not going to have that skill like I had or like I have. And so I've been in communication with this lady who's doing these classes for kids, and I started to think about like the hardest language we that is the hardest to learn. And I've heard that Spanish is one of the hardest languages that anybody could learn. Teddy, are you bilingual?
I am bilingual. Yeah, and like you said, Spanish is backwards. If you like translate it, it's all backwards. But I am bilingual. We spoke Spanish and English in the household, but more Spanish because my dad doesn't speak any kind of English. And I remember growing up, we were learning the words, and still to this day, it's benefited me a lot. Every job I go to, I'm having to translate for somebody. Going to the supermarket, I translate for somebody at church. Wherever I'm at, I'm having to translate for somebody, and I'm grateful for it. I think it's really good to know that second language. So
Exactly. It's such a benefit to not just yourself because you can communicate with people who might not know the language that you primarily speak, but it can be a benefit to people who might need that translation.
Yeah.
Just this last week, I had to work on a video where the um, person that was speaking in the video spoke primarily, well, she spoke Spanish. She didn't speak English. And so in order for our viewers to be able to understand that video, I had to translate it, and I'm not very good at like written translation. And so Estefania from our agency, she was able to help me get that translation done, and we did a voiceover, and it was so difficult trying to line the phrases up together,
Hmm.
because it's so different. It's so
It
hard.
is super different.
Um, but, one of the hardest languages I think to learn, if not the hardest language, is the language that we're going to talk about today. And that is the five love languages. Have you heard anything about the five love languages?
I have. I've taken the test. So, uh, long story short, when I met you, we had to take our love language test to see what it was here at the agency. Um, and then I was real interested after that. So taking it to my home and making my wife take her love language test, and then with my kiddos too, having them take the love language test. And so I'm kind of like you, Monica. I'm just telling everybody, hey, what's your love language? Hey, can you take this test real quick? And it's super weird. They're like, what the? I don't want to know that. So,
I think it's so funny that you say that, because the first time I heard about the love languages, and I talked about it the last live stream that we had with Allie from the Hopes Department,
mhm.
the first time I had ever heard anything about the love language was when I had my interview for this position. I had coming from working in like a corporate type job, coming into a social service type job. And one of the first questions that Brandy, our director, asked, she said, "What is your love language?" And I said, "Well, Spanish."
Yeah,
I don't
I don't know.
I was like, "I don't really know what you're talking about." And so I remember she told me a little bit about it, and she told me a little bit about it, and immediately after that interview, I went home and I was like googling what is a love language.
Mhm.
And that was when I was first introduced to the topic of the five love languages. And I can honestly say that this concept has changed not just the way that um, I live in my household with my family, with my husband, but it also has influenced the way I supervise, the way that I have relationships with friends, the way that I have relationships with coworkers. It has just influenced every part of my life possible. And so I am a huge advocate for the five love language concept. I love teaching on it. I love sharing it with families, because I think it is definitely a concept that will change your life if you put it to practice. And so today we are going to go over the five love languages. I don't think that an hour is going to be enough, but we're going to try and get it into this lunch hour.
Mhm.
Um, we're going to go over how to find your love languages. We're going to go over what each love language is, and how to put it to practical use, in practical situations. How do you implement this into your life? So I'm so excited to get started. I'm so excited to talk about the five love languages. So the five love languages comes from a book that was written by Dr. Gary Chapman. I actually have it here. Dr. Gary Chapman is a counselor who had counseled lots of marriages. And when he was in those counseling sessions, he realized that each one of us has a love language. We all love to be loved a certain way. We give love a certain way, and we receive love that certain way. And so he indicated that there are five primary love languages. And those love languages are gifts, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and words of affirmation. And um, I think it's crazy, because when you think about it, before knowing these five love languages, I had a love language. Once I learned about this concept, I could pick exactly which one mine was. There is a quiz, which here in just a little bit, I will tag that quiz in the comments. Casey or any of the FSS people here watching, if you can put that quiz in the comments, that would be so helpful. But there is a quiz that you take. You can find it on the app too. The app is called Love Nudge. And if you download that through the App Store, you can take the quiz very, very quickly on there and it'll tell you your love language. So, Teddy, how about
Mhm.
we go through each love language? Let's talk about each love language and what it is.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so let's go over the first. Now, these are in no particular order. No love language is greater than the other. Um, this is just what they are. So,
Mm.
the first one that I want to go over is gifts.
Yeah,
Now, I will tell you right away that gifts is probably not one of my, well, it's not. It's not one of my love languages.
same,
But
same.
a lot of people think that gifts means buying expensive jewelry for the person you love, or buying a car for the person that you love, spending lots of money on the person that you love. But it's not necessarily like that.
Mhm.
When you think of gifts as a love language, what do you think, Teddy?
I think of man. One of the biggest things too is I was telling you the other day is like the way to my coworkers' hearts is the little snacks that I bring them. Just like the little gift of a Snickers bar or a honey bun or a cupcake, something like that. That's a gift. It doesn't have to be something high in price. I'm not gonna buy everybody a yacht, even though I kind of don't have that money. So, so yeah, like, but like the little gifts of like just like a snack or a pen that I saw, or thinking of you. One McCabery from our office always brings me the gift of stickers. I'm a sticker collector. Everybody knows this. I collect stickers like crazy, and she always brings me a sticker every time she goes somewhere or she sees one. She's like, "Oh, Teddy needs a sticker," and she brings it to me, and that gift is awesome. I really appreciate that because like I said, I do collect stickers, but it doesn't have to be nothing extremely crazy high price.
Exactly. You are exactly right. Gifts do not have to cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It could be picking a flower and giving it to your child, or vice versa. I know Ezra, my 5-year-old, he loves picking flowers. They're really weeds. He loves picking them and he loves bringing them to me. And he's like, Mom, I got you a flower. Put it in your hair. And so then I'll put it in my hair and I'll forget that I have it there. And I'll go throughout, I'll go throughout my day and I have a weed stuck in my hair. But he loves picking flowers for me from the backyard and giving them to me. Those are the types of gifts that we're talking about when we talk about the 5 love languages. Um, it can also be, i- it can be something that you buy like jewelry
Yeah.
or flowers. It can definitely be that, but it doesn't always have to be that. And so tell us in the comments if if you think gifts is one of your 5 love languages. I will, before we go on to the next one, I do want to indicate that Hope Samarillo has posted the quiz for the 5 love languages down at the bottom in the comments. And so if you want to figure out what your love language is, you can go to that website and take that quiz and find out for yourself. So let's go ahead and talk about the next one. Which love language do you have, Teddy?
So I'm tied between three, but one of my favorite ones is quality time. Quality time is one of my biggest ones. If you spend some time with me, you'll know exactly that that's my thing. I like spending time with people. I'm a one-on-one kind of person. Um, I like big crowds. I've DJed huge crowds, but right after I finish DJing, I want to go to my room and just like hang out with myself or hang out with just one person that I could just like uh, share my heart with, or tell them how it went. It's usually my wife or one of my kiddos, and I'm just like spend that time with them because I don't, like I said, all the crowds and everything is cool, but I just need that one person to spend time with. So
Right. So quality time, I love this one because especially in the day where this is attached to us
oh,
almost at all times,
mm-hmm.
quality time is one of the love languages that gets put in the back burner all the time. Quality time doesn't mean that you're just sitting next to each other on your phones. That's
Yeah,
not
no,
quality time. I'm
yeah,
sorry to break it to you, but that's not quality time. Quality time is putting this away
mm-hmm.
and giving your loved one, giving your friend, giving your kids your undivided attention. And I will be completely honest, this is one of the ones that I struggle with the most, because we're so busy and we have, you know, speaking for myself, I have a ton of different roles that I carry throughout the week. I'm a mom, I work as a supervisor, I'm a friend, I am a sister, I am a daughter. We carry all of these roles, and sometimes it's difficult to manage those things and provide individual time to each person that we love. So quality time is definitely a difficult one for me. Um, but it's also when you give that time to your loved one, huge breakthroughs can happen in those moments.
Okay.
And so I think, I love
I
quality
think
time
that,
is one of my favorites.
and I think the most communication comes out of quality time. If you really want to communicate with somebody, spend some time with them. I well, that's me personally. I don't know. Some other people may not, but just that's when I communicate the most. I share the most. I'm more open hearted. You know, that's just who I am. Man, quality time is like I said, it's one of my favorite things. That one on one time with some people just
Mhm.
helps me get throughout my day, helps me get throughout my week and month. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I I've seen that from you. I know you and I, our work relationship,
mhm.
we usually get a lot done when we meet
Yeah.
versus just emailing, versus just shooting a text to each other or on the phone. I know that whenever we sit in my office and we try and work out, some of the programs that we're working on, that's usually when we get the most done. So I
That's
think
true.
that's great. I think that's awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to the next love language. I love this love language. Acts of service.
Mhm.
Acts of service is one of my favorite love languages because it is one of my love languages. I believe this is my second love language. Acts of service. Now, this is exactly what it sounds like, doing stuff for the benefit of others.
Mhm.
Um, I mentioned just a while ago that I have so many roles throughout the week, and sometimes it's difficult for me to manage those roles. And so, if you can do something to help me manage that, oh, that is the ultimate sign of affection for me.
Mhm.
You don't have to buy me diamond rings, you don't have to buy me a car, you don't have to buy me anything special, but if you do the dishes, oh my gosh, that
Mhm.
you love me. And so,
Yeah.
um, acts of service is a big one for me. It's doing something, going out of your way for somebody. If your love language is acts of service, you probably find yourself doing things for people, going out of your way to do things for people. And when that is reciprocated and it comes back to you, and they do things for you, you feel like there's a mutual respect, there's a
Mhm.
mutual understanding, there's a mutual love. And later in this episode, we'll talk about when that doesn't happen and what that looks like. But
Yeah.
acts of service can be anything from doing chores, doing dishes, vacuuming, but it doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes
Yeah.
it can be bringing your loved one something that will help them throughout the day. Or,
Yeah.
for example, lunch. Sometimes I get so busy I forget to take a lunch. Maybe ordering lunch for somebody that might not have to pick not have, might not have time to pick up lunch throughout the day. Now that can qualify as too, because that could be gifts too, you know,
Yeah.
but when you think about it, if you're doing it because they don't have time to do it, it qualifies as an act of service too.
And it's so much better when you don't have to ask for it, right? When you don't have to ask for it. I know my wife is just super happy when I go. This is something I should be doing, but when I go pump her gas real quick and without her even knowing, like, hey, I borrowed your car. I went to go fill up your tank while I was out there. That changes her whole world, like it does. So,
Right. You know what's a big one?
mm,
Excuse me, putting gas. I hear all these lovely stories of these spouses that put gas in their loved one's car. My husband, because our schedules are so off, he
mhm,
usually works nights. We never have the opportunity to do that for each other. And so that's one thing I'm always like, oh, I wish my husband would put gas in my car for me because I just absolutely hate putting gas. I hate it because I usually wait till the last minute to do it. And so it's
Yeah.
usually raining, snowing,
Mhm.
or it's freezing outside, and that's when I'm there, like, putting gas all
In
cold.
the harshest weathers, you're putting gas.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "I should have put gas yesterday. I should have put
yeah.
gas yesterday." But, little things like that, doing things for the people that you love, that is acts of service, and I think, you know, don't forget to tell us in the comments, what is your love language? What is your
Mhm.
love language? What do you think your love language is? Because you might not you might not have taken the test yet, but it's okay. You probably know what your love language is just by the things that make you feel special, the things that make you feel appreciated. So tell us in the comments.
So this
So
is the other one that's tied with mine. So this is acts of service, quality time, and then the other one will be brought up here in a second. That
let's
they're
bring
all
it up.
tied. Yeah.
Let's bring it up. What
All
is the
right.
next love language?
Physical touch. Yeah. Physical touch. You see me? I'm a big old teddy bear. I love hugs. I love just everything about hugs. That's it. I'm just a hugger. I'm the softest person you'll ever meet, and I give the best hugs. Sorry, I have that championship, and I'm gonna hold it till the rest of until I die. So,
You're not wrong.
yeah,
You're absolutely correct. And you see, for me, it's opposite. So,
yeah.
um, I am not a hugger. I am not, physical touch is the very last love language on my list. I it's hard for me, especially when I'm already, like, if I'm emotional or if I'm frustrated or if I'm, like, in a high state of emotion, physical touch is not what I need, and so I know there's been moments where, um, where I'm crying because I'm emotional about something or I'm sad or something, and, people will reach out to hug, and I know the moment that I touch, the moment that
I'm just saying.
no. The moment that that connection happens, my emotion is gonna go to the next level of extreme, and I'm gonna cry harder, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna be even more sad, and so I try to prevent that from happening. So physical touch is definitely not one of my primary love languages. Now, when we think about physical touch and we think about, the 5 love languages, so many people, if you're just learning about the 5 love language concept, think that it is in regards to sex or sexual touch, but that's not necessarily
No,
it, right?
not at all. Yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So like I said, hugs, um, being really close to somebody, um, like I said, holding hands. But that's like with your spouse or your loved one. I know, like my daughter, or my daughter and my son, they're our physical touch. So
Mm,
she likes to like just hold my arm when we're walking. My son likes to lean on me like I'm a leaning post, which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he's always leaning on me, just to feel that. I guess, like I said, that affection. And But yeah, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be sexual. It just can be anything. Like I said, even she likes to poke me, like in my stomach. I don't like that. Everything else, I'll take a hug. I don't like being poked in the stomach.
right.
I'm not the Pillsbury Doughboy. I may look like him, the brown version, but no, I'm not him. And so, those things, though, like I know that it really shows them that I'm loving on them. So, I really do. Like I said, I try to make that the hugs before they go to bed. The high fives, even high fives. Like my son, he's so weird about high fives. I'm super weird. Like, why am I giving you a high five for what? Doesn't even make sense. But okay, high five for that. You're in trouble still. High five. Like
You see, and
it's
it's funny that you mentioned that because in order for me to, like, not, I I think for me, it's like I don't wanna overstep somebody's boundary. I don't
mhm.
wanna hug somebody that doesn't wanna be hugged. I don't want to give that affection if that affection isn't wanted, and
Yeah,
so it makes it very awkward for me, and I think everybody, for example, people at church, sometimes I'll go in
hmm
for the handshake, and they're going in for a hug, and I'm going in for a high five, and it's
and then it's
so
just
awkward.
knuckle touch. I don't know what we're doing.
So
Yeah.
yes, and so I constantly find myself in that situation, and I think that's just a reflection of how physical touch is just not something that
hmm
is comfortable for me. It's
Yeah.
not something that is um no, normal for me, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
No, no,
just very
understandable,
different.
understandable. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
when it comes to marriages, this is a big one, physical touch. Usually, now this isn't always the case, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but usually a man's love language is usually physical touch.
mhm.
That's usually
First
their
one, yeah.
primary love language. Not always. I've come across a few people that it's not their love language, but sometimes it is.
Mhm.
Now, I want to share a little story. Um, I think it's appropriate. I mean, it's not appropriate, but,
Nah, but
um, in me and my husband, we've been married for, 12 years, and throughout our marriage, before I learned this concept, throughout our marriage, I would be, like, washing dishes or doing laundry or walking by doing something, and, my husband would, like, just give me a little love tap on my behind. Every single time, and I would get so angry, and I'd be like,
Mhm,
"Stop it! What are you doing? Stop
mhm,
it!" And it wasn't anything, like, it wasn't hard, it was just, like a sign of affection or whatever, and it wasn't until I learned this concept that every time I said, stop it," or, "Oh, stop," I was rejecting his love.
mhm,
You see, my husband's love language is physical touch. His number one love language is physical touch. So in those moments where he was showing me that affection, I was rejecting his love and affection. And we didn't understand each other's love language at that point, and so he didn't realize that physical touch was not my love language. And
right.
so it's crazy because now I have kind of softened up to those responses or in those responses, and so I understand that those things that he does, they're signs of affection, and
Mhm,
it's his way of showing me that he loves me, and I think they happen so spontaneously that it's not something that he's being intentional about. Like he doesn't realize that he did that because he loved me. You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
it's just crazy. Once you learn the 5 love languages and once you understand the concept, then you start to put it into play and everything just clicks and it makes
Yeah.
sense. So,
It changes everything, how you see things, and it starts to make sense. Like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, it's not just him being mean or messing around with me. Just it makes sense now. Like,
yeah, it
so,
just clicks, it makes sense, and that's what is so awesome about this concept, and this is why I use it when I talk to parents, especially parents who are struggling, not just in their marriage, but they're struggling with giving attention to their kids and
to the
showing
kids,
love
yeah.
and affection to their kids. So a lot of people say, "Well, how do you use the 5 love languages in your job at Family Support Services?" Well, our primary job as prevention specialists is to prevent bad things from happening,
Hmm.
to prevent sexual assault from happening, to prevent suicide from happening, to prevent families from abusing drugs, to prevent these bad things from happening. And I think, love is one of the biggest weapons that we can use to fight off some of those bad things.
Hmm.
So I love sharing this concept with my families because I think it's a tool that is gonna be the most utilized and the most effective in their belt.
Yeah.
And so I always like to think of this imaginary tool belt that we carry around, and we put all the things that we learn in there, and we keep them in there until we need to use them. What would you say is one of the most used tools? Like, what would you say?
Mm, for us at the agency, like
No,
as
no, no. I mean, like a builder, a contractor that's building
a
something and he
hammer, a
a hammer?
hammer. That's the first thing I think about: a hammer or a screwdriver.
Yeah, I think a screwdriver was what I was gonna say,
Okay.
because I feel like a hammer, I could use anything. You give me a mirror, and I can hammer something in with that mirror,
You give me the tape
but a
dispenser, I'm gonna make it work.
right, but a screwdriver, I feel like I can only use a screwdriver to do what a screwdriver does, and I
Mhm,
always need a screwdriver. I'm the one that put in my household, I'm the one that puts the frames on the walls, I'm the one that hangs the mirrors, I'm the one that, does all of that, and so I love me a good tool belt, and I love
hey.
me a good screwdriver.
And if you're a real Hispanic, you'll use a butter knife or some scissors for the screwdriver.
You're not wrong. And so that's how I feel about the 5 love languages. This is a tool that we can put in our tool belt to use in the moments that we need them the most. And if you have that tool ready to go, then it's going to come out naturally. It's going to come out quickly, and you'll be able to respond and react to situations in your marriage, in your friendships, in your relationships with your children very quickly and very effectively. And so, tell us in the comments. I want to hear from you. I know some of you guys have been sharing what your love language is already, but tell us, if you haven't shared with us, tell us in the comments, what do you think your love language is? Now, if you don't know or you want to find out, in the comments, Hope Samarillo tagged the website that you can go to figure out what your love language is. It's a very quick quiz. I think it's about 30 questions long. And whenever I give this quiz to the families that I work with, they're like, all these questions are the same, because it's like, would you rather receive a cupcake from someone, or would you rather receive a hug from someone?
Mhm.
And all the questions kind of are the same, just said in different ways,
Mhm.
but it makes sense once you complete the question, because the the idea of taking the quiz is figuring out what your love language is. And so we have some people commenting in the comments. We have Melissa saying that her love language is acts of service. So she loves it when people wash the dishes.
Mhm.
We have Christina talking in the comments, and she says her top 3 are quality time, acts of service, and physical touch. Let's
Same as
see.
mine. So
Yep. And so yeah, so eh, figuring out what your love language is a tool in your belt that you can use later. Now, we've talked a little bit about what our love languages are. Mine is words of affirmation and physical touch. Have we talked about words of
I
affirmation?
haven't talked about words of affirmation.
Have
That's
not
really
talked about
important.
words. Yes, we have not talked about words of affirmation. So let's go on to words of affirmation. This is my number one love language. I love words of affirmation. I like to know that when I make a meal, it's good. It hurts my feelings when you tell me that my meal is not good. I like to know that I'm doing a good job. That's why the comment section of this live stream is it blesses me so much when y'all say, man, this is an awesome, live stream,
Mhm.
or
Yeah, yeah,
y'all
yeah.
are interacting and y'all are interested in what we're saying. It feeds my love tank. And so words of affirmation, um, it's one of, I think, the easiest, well, for some people, I guess it depends on who you
No,
are.
yeah,
Um,
not me.
Words of affirmation is just that, just telling people that they're doing a good job, telling them that you appreciate them, telling them that you love them, telling them that they're special to you, writing special notes that say, I love you so much, sending those special text messages throughout the day that are not asked for, that say, hey, I love you. I hope you have a good day. Those types of things feed people like me whose number one love language is words of affirmation. What's your experience with words of affirmation?
Man, honestly, truthfully, you can tell me, "Hey, you did a good job. You did this. You did that," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Can I have a hug instead?" Like, you can tell me all these
Note
things.
taken.
Yeah, like you can tell me all these things, but honestly, it really doesn't mean anything to me. Um, like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, "Hey, I like your music." Oh, that's awesome. But an act of service is if you play my music, then you really showed me that you love me. That's how I think, and I have to be intentional about sharing words of affirmation because it's hard for me. Um, I'm kind of good at it, but I'm not the best, and I really want to be better at this particular thing, at words of affirmation, because it's hard for me sometimes. I'm just like, you did, nah, I could have did it better, or things like that. But I'm trying. I'm always intentional with it, especially with my coworkers, especially with my family. Um, I try to be super intentional about, hey, you did a great job, and I really appreciate that, or just little things like that. I know that goes a long way, but yeah, you can tell me those things. I'm just like, give me a hug or a high five. I'd rather take that instead.
Right. And I've noticed that for sure, especially when we're in team meetings, like I'll
Mhm.
think I'll have this amazing idea and I'll put it out there and Teddy's like, and I know that it later on, once we discuss it, like he'll elaborate like his excitement with me, but initially it's like, and so it's funny, but yes, words of affirmation, it's one of my favorite things to do, especially like that's I love giving my love with words of affirmation. I want to tell y'all really quick about something that one of our programs here at Family Support Services is doing. So we have a program called the yak program, and that's the youth advisory committee, and right now they're working on a recruiting campaign to get more kids into this program. So if you have a teenager in the 79107 area that would want to be a part of this program, holler at us. But what they're doing is a part of this, as a part of this recruitment campaign, is they're giving students this little pouch. And it has a sticker on the back and it says Empower 806. Now, I love what's in this pouch because, Teddy, I don't think you've seen this yet.
I
So
haven't seen that yet. That's pretty cool. I was already like, oh man, I want to know what
there's a
this
little
is.
card in here that tells you about Yak and what it is, what why join, who can join, what they address, and how they can go about participating in this program. However, they also include this little card, and it says ideas and examples for these little cards that they also include in there. And so it says, leave a card with your tip for a waiter or a waitress. Leave in a library book for the next reader to find. Give directly to a person you want to empower. Leave somewhere for others to find, but don't litter, or send it in a letter. Send it with a letter in the mail. Now, what they're talking about are these little cards. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
So it says you matter, and it says pop open here. And so if you pop this open just like this, you pop it open and it has the little message inside.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
awesome.
says, by being yourself, you put something wonderful into the world that was not there before. This feeds my soul. I love this so much. So you put these little cards in random little places like a library book, or my favorite place to put special little notes and messages are at the gas station. I always like, if I have sticky notes, I'll always put them on the gas station.
Now I know who does that.
Is. Yeah, that was me if you haven't seen that, but it's really amazing. It's, something that I just love this campaign because they're, leaving messages of hope out in the community, out in the schools, and so, that is what words of affirmation is, just affirming somebody's existence, letting them know that because you are alive, my life is better.
Mhm.
Because you are here, my life is better, and I think that's just such a beautiful thing, and I think that's why my love language is words of affirmation.
And I would open it and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll send this
Yeah,
to somebody
yeah.
else, you know?
Then you could bless somebody with that
Okay, you go.
affirmation
Yeah,
card.
yeah, yeah.
And and so I think it's awesome. Now, we've gone over the 5 love languages now. You guys kind of have an idea of what each love language is. One thing I like to share in the groups that I teach is, how did we come up with these love languages for ourselves? Like, why is my love language words of affirmation? Why is your love language quality time? And I like to challenge the people in my class to start thinking about their childhood and their past. Think about the type of relationship that they had with their parents. Think about the relationships that they had with friends, teachers, different things like that. And one example that I love to give is, for myself, my love language is words of affirmation. I have grown up, since I was 4, since I could talk. I've always been a singer. I have sang in competitions. I've sang at church. I've sang with bands. I've sang with a mariachi at one point. Like, I have always been a performer. And throughout high school, I was in choir. I performed with the choir. I performed with ensembles. Performing has always been a part of my life. It still is a part of my life. And so, when I first learned my love language and learned that it was words of affirmation, I started to reflect back on my past and kind of thought, well, I wonder why it's words of affirmation. But then I put two and two together and I'm like, well, when you're a performer and you finish performing, what do you expect?
Round of applause.
A round of applause, right? And I think that has just fed into my life and who I am. And I'm not saying that I deserve a round of applause a round of applause because I'm so great. No, it's because it's an appreciation to show like, man, she worked really hard on this, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so now I think about my love language and it being words of affirmation, and I'm like, well, it's always been words of affirmation because those affirmations have always made me feel like I've really accomplished something. What about you, Teddy? Can you think of any reasons why your love language is the way it is?
I think my love language, like I said, I have quality time, uh, acts of service, and physical touch. The quality time one is my parents have always been around. My parents, we're family oriented. If you know me, I'm all about my family. You want to go hang out with your friends, or you hang out with your family? I'd rather hang out with my family. I'm always
Mhm.
like that, and so uh, that's how my parents were too. My mom and dad were always like that. We had Sunday dinners. We had Sunday like meals together. We go to church together. We did things together. Family road trips. It was always about quality time with them, and that's how my parents are. Even when I just go to pick up my kids, because they pick up my kids after school, I go pick them up, and we'll sit there and talk every day, and we'll spend like the hour when I should be home, like cooking already, or doing something else. I'll spend that like 30, 40 minutes with my pop, just talking and just talking and talking. And that feeds into my love tank, but I know it feeds into his too, because he likes to just express himself and talk. So I know that's why it's it, because we've always been like that. Everybody in my family is like quality time. Let's hang out. Let's spend time together. So
Yeah, no, I think we can always find those specific moments as to why, our love language is what it is. And I think that's awesome. I think it's amazing that it's just it's almost a cycle. But you can also it can also be the opposite. Maybe you didn't receive physical touch as a child. Maybe you didn't receive that quality time as a child. So now as an adult, you desire that. You desire to hug, you desire to um, have those little touches of affection,
mhm.
different things like that. And so it could work both ways. For me, I think I with words of affirmation, my parents have always been supportive, but they didn't know how to express that support. They didn't know how
Yeah.
to communicate that. And so I think sometimes that also feeds into why my love language is words of affirmation.
And the same for me. And my parents, they would tell me good job here and there, but that's like I said, they never knew how to express it to me. So I'm just like, nah, I really don't. It doesn't really phase me. Those kind of those words.
Right.
To somebody else like you, it does. It phases you when they give you those words of affirmation. Like, you're doing a really good job right now. So
Right. And and when they don't, it
mhm.
it it affects us,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that I want to go start talking about our love tank,
yeah.
in the book, The Five Love Languages, Dr. Gary Chapman, he talks about how each of us have love tanks. And essentially each love language is a love tank in our personality, in our being and who we are. And if we're not receiving one of those love languages, that love tank can become empty. And I will tell you, preparing for this live stream, I was like, maybe I'm not in a position to talk about the five love languages because some of my love tanks are empty right now. I feel like there's been a lot of pressure. I've been really busy. I haven't been able to spend quality time with my family that doesn't consist of cleaning or cooking or bathing them. Like I my those love tanks right now for me are empty. And so I was really preparing for this. I was like, maybe I shouldn't talk about this today.
And I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'm exactly in the same position you are. My wife is. We're like, any day the baby can be here. So I've been like one thing after another, just trying to fix everything, trying to make sure everything is good, and that's it. I just those tanks are empty right now for me too. So totally
Yeah,
understand that
and
100%.
it's important for the people that you do life with to understand that. And so that's why I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, if your loved one, if your friends, if the people that you care about the most have Facebook, tag them in this so that they understand this concept, so that they can understand you. It's important for people to acknowledge and realize when their loved one's love tank is running empty, because then you can figure out, okay, I need to step it up a notch in the acts of service for them. I need to help them with some dishes. I need to help them, relieve some of the stress that come from the things that they do on a daily basis. And so, I think as important as it is to know what your five love languages is, it's just as important to know when your love tank is empty, because then you're able to communicate that. You're able to say, hey, my quality time love tank is a little low. Can we spend some time together this weekend? Can we, go to a movie? Can we go and just do something together? It's easier for you to communicate that.
Yeah.
And so when your love tank is empty, usually, now, here's the thing about the five love languages. Yes, you can have your five love languages um, when you take your test, and that's your primary love language. But what a lot of people don't realize is that that can change, and it does change. So, for example, right now, I would probably say that my acts of service love language is over. It's a little bit higher than my words of affirmation.
Hmm.
I feel like my family, my husband, my all my friends, they've been doing a great job with giving me words of affirmation, but because I'm so overwhelmed with housework and work and some of the other responsibilities that I have, my acts of service love tank is really, really low. So that love language is up here for me. That is how I'm going to feel the most love this week. And some people don't realize that their love language can change from week to week, from month to month, or maybe season to season. Right now we're in, hopefully toward we're hopefully coming out of this pandemic, but with COVID-19, it has affected us so much. Maybe everybody's quality time love tank is completely full because we've spent so much time together, because we haven't been able to go anywhere, or because we've had a quarantine for 2 weeks, or because we've been sick, or because our kids have had to stay home. And so we have to stay home with them. So people's quality time love tank, it might be kind of full.
Hmm.
Have you seen any changes in your love language, Teddy, throughout this pandemic?
Yeah, no, definitely. Uh, if y'all seen our first prevention talk, I'm a germaphobe. I'm super germaphobe. So the physical touch for a while wasn't my thing. Not just because of the pandemic. It was just in general. I just didn't want to be touched. I didn't want nothing like that. For a small period of time, it's weird. I didn't want the hugs. I didn't want the high fives. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want people leaning on me and stuff like that. But then recently taking it again, when we were doing SFP, I think one of those days, I was like, it came back up. Physical touch was back up, and then I was tied with all three: quality time, acts of service, and physical touch. But yeah, it has changed. Even for my wife, from when we first got married till now, it's completely changed. At one point, it was words of affirmation. Now it's physical touch for her, and then it'll change with her. It'll probably change next week too. So, but it's good. It's good that we know those things and we can feel our loved ones, our friends, or our marriages love tanks because they need it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I love that you mentioned that, because, Teddy is expecting a baby. He's gonna become a father of a brand new baby. Of course, he has two kids already, but this now your other kids are how old? They're teens,
Uh,
right?
yeah. So yeah, Adesanya is 13, or Isaac is about to be 13 this year, and Adesanya is about to be 14 this year.
Right. So he's adding a brand new baby boy to his family. So
Mm-hmm.
as you can imagine, his family dynamic is probably going to change within the next, couple of years. It's going to be very different having a brand new baby in his home. This morning, I asked on my personal Facebook page, those of you that have implemented this concept in their lives, how has it helped, or how has it supported you in your relationships? And I got one message from a friend, and she says, I've always known about the love languages and knew what our love languages were and how to express them. However, during the postpartum period after our first baby, our marriage really struggled. We were so focused on this new human that we forgot how to be married. It got to the point where we were going to separate, but then we made the decision that we were going to do whatever it took to fix this. A huge part of that was our love languages. We became intentional again about expressing those things, no matter how tired we were or how much we felt like we needed to be doing or taking care of someone else. Our love languages, which were physical touch and words of affirmation, became a huge part in our reconciling and building back our strong marriage. That is the
That's awesome.
power that this concept has.
That's
It,
awesome.
and like I say, I'm going to go back to using that tool belt. If you have this tool in your tool belt, those moments where you feel like you're at the end, that's where you're going to pull this out and use this concept. I am so excited to share this with anybody and everybody. Like you said at the beginning, I love asking people, well, what's your love language?
Hmm.
So that I can be a better friend. I can be a better coworker. I could be a better supervisor. And so I think that's really important. But but yeah, so we have some comments coming through telling you congratulations. Yes, congratulations on this baby boy.
Thank you.
Which he We might have to extend this into a second episode, but I don't know if we'll make it because you might be out for leave next week.
Hey,
So
I'm excited. I'm down to do a second episode. This is really good. It's needed for people that don't know. It's
yes.
that prevention talk that we need to share with people, and that's why we do this on a weekly basis. So
Yeah, so I'm running out of time, but I want to go ahead and continue a few more points that I wanted to make.
okay.
When we think about the five, let me know if you're still on here. If you're not on here, then I'll wait and we'll do it next week.
Hmm.
But let me know in the comments that you're still here, that you're still hearing us, that you're still listening, and let us know if you want us to continue to keep on going. Um, One of the points that I do want to make is that the five love languages, of course, we've discussed it, we've talked about it in this live stream. It's not just for marriages. You can implement this in any relationship for your life.
Hmm.
In your life, specifically your children. Your children can benefit from this concept so much, so much. Um, Dr. Gary Chapman, he not only wrote this awesome book for marriages, he also has books that are the five love languages for children, the five love languages for teens, the five love languages for military couples, the five love languages, implementing the five love languages for kids with disabilities. So whatever your family is going through, whatever their situation is, you can find a book or a resource for your family. For kids, now let me tell you a little bit about how I've implemented it with my kids. Before this concept, I wasn't aware of the five love languages. Of course, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the idea behind it, and I struggled. I struggled as a parent. Now, let me just say this disclaimer: I am not the perfect parent. My husband will probably be the first to tell you that, and I'm no in no way saying that I know all the answers or that I have all the tips or anything like that. But I try to implement some of this stuff that I learn in my family. Well, one of the things that I first realized when I first learned the five love languages was how I was rejecting love for my kids. Of course, I at that point I only had my first son, who was now 12, but at that point was about 5 or 6. And I realized very quickly that his primary love language was physical touch. He loved, as a young child, he loved sitting on my lap, watching movies, playing with my hair while we're watching a movie, messing with me while we're sitting together doing something, or maybe even sitting right next to me when we're having dinner. I mean, he was always all over me. He loved sleeping in bed with us. He loved just always being on top of me. And I remember before I knew this concept, I would always say, "Oh, get off of me. Get off of me, Adrian. Scoot over. You're too close to me." And sometimes we say those things out of frustration because we're at work all day and we're frustrated with things that we didn't get done. Or maybe we're frustrated because there's a big old pile of dishes that we need to do. And we're just frustrated and we say those things because we're human.
Hmm.
And so after I learned this concept, I remember immediately realizing that every single time that I told him, "Get off of me, scoot over, you're too close to me, leave me alone," that I was rejecting my son's love. He was 5 years old. He was 5 years old. And that was his way of showing his mom that he loved me. And every time I would say that, I was rejecting his love. And so now, when I learned this concept and I started implementing it into my family, I remember sitting and having a discussion with my son. Now there is a quiz for the kids. You can give them a quiz and it's very easy for them to follow. You can just ask them the questions and fill it out for them. That way, if they can't read or whatever. But we did that. And sure enough, his primary love language was physical touch. And so at that point, I it's important for us to understand that just because our spouses or our children's or our friends, our family's love language is not our primary love language, that doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice all the time to
Yeah.
show them love in that way. So what I did was I sat with Adrian and I explained to him a little bit about the love language, just very basic. And I go, "Here's the thing, Adrian, physical touch is not my love language. It's not. I don't like to be touched, but I love you so much that we need to talk about how we can make this work." So I told him, we came up with the agreement that when I invited him into my space to come and sit with me, like if I said, "Hey, Adrian, come and sit with me on the couch and watch a movie," that was his ticket to be able to come and sit with me, and we can share that love language at that time. But he also understood that he had to be invited into that.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds kind of harsh, but I, as a parent, also had to make the sacrifice to say, "You know what, I'm frustrated today. I don't want people to touch me, but I see that Adrian's not having a good day. So I am going to love on him a little bit more." And so it was kind of a mutual thing that we both had to learn and we both had to do.
It's a little bit
Now,
of give and take. So
yes, and it worked out for us. It worked out for us. And so let me tell you, the moment that I realized that it worked for us, there was one day that it was a Saturday morning and it was near the holiday season, and here in Amarillo at UA, the movie theater, around Christmas they always show the old Christmas movies, and one Saturday they were showing Home Alone. And that is our family's favorite movie. We will watch it all year round, all the time. We love Home Alone. Those
mhm.
It's one of the best movies in my opinion. And so I had told Adrian, I'm like, "Hey, you want to go watch Home Alone this Saturday?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so we were going to go watch Home Alone. And at the last minute, my husband tagged along, my little nephew tagged along. And so we were running a little bit behind. Well, we got on the road. It was snowing that day. And so the roads were icy. We drive to the theater only to find out that the theater was sold out. They didn't have any more tickets for the movie. And so of course I was frustrated and I was like, "Well, if we would have left on time, we would have made it. And now we would have been able to watch the movie. Now we don't have anything to do for this Saturday." So we start driving back home and we decided that we were going to watch movies at home. On our way home, we stopped at Dollar Tree, and I remember we were about to park. We were in a smaller car, and so I could feel my nephew behind me, like kicking the seat. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, and I get that from my father. My dad would always get us in trouble for kicking the seats, and that's exactly what he was doing at that point. He was kicking the seats, and he was messing with my hair and stuff. And at that point, my son goes, "Hey, Panchito, my mom's love language is not physical touch." And I remember in that moment thinking, Oh my God, he gets it. Adrian gets it. He gets that my love language is not physical touch. And I knew that that was a tool that I had put in his tool belt. And so it works with your children. If you have children, they understand the love languages, they understand the concept if you just teach it to them. And that can help in your family, that can help in your marriage. So yeah, so it's an awesome concept. Now, Teddy, we are about 6 minutes over 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Do you what do you say we continue this conversation next week on
I'm
the
excited.
12th?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Let's do that. I know some of you have to get back to work. Some of you have been on lunch. Thank you guys for joining us. I do want to go ahead and I want to do a giveaway. Comment, let us know in the comments that you're still here, that you're ready for a giveaway, that you're excited for a giveaway. Give us some hearts, give us some likes, give us some shares. Let's do a giveaway.
Let's
Now,
do it.
here is our giveaway for today.
Awesome.
We are going to be giving a copy of Dr. Gary Chapman's 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. I picked this up this morning. This is a brand new copy. It doesn't have any notes. Usually I give away the copy that I have all
With
my
the
notes in.
highlighters and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't have that copy because I gave it away the last time I did this class. But I have a brand new copy of the 5 love languages. So if you are watching right now, if you are watching, the 10th person to comment at least one of the 5 love languages will win a copy of this book. Ready, set,
Go.
go. So the 10th person to comment at least one of the 5 love languages will win a copy of this book. Let's see if we have any comments coming in.
And while those comments come in, next week we will be here again. Please do not miss it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to continue this conversation. I had a good time today. It's always good to sit down and talk about things like this because, like I said, it is needed. And so share this with somebody that you didn't get to share with. If you didn't get to share earlier, share it and tag somebody that needs this in their life because this is, like I said, it's that tool that we need in our tool belt, and it's going to be really good for it.
Yes, and next week we'll touch a little bit more on using the love languages with your kids and your
Mhm.
teens. We'll also talk a little bit about using the love languages in the workplace because you can use this
Yes.
in your workplace. And then we'll open up the conversation for any questions that you might have. So if you have any questions, you can send us a private message, or you can call me, you can email me, whatever is the best way to contact me. Let us know what questions you might have. It looks like I see some comments coming
I'm gonna
in.
page you. That's what I'm gonna
You're gonna, oh, okay, yeah, page
do.
me.
Yeah,
Definitely
page you.
call me on my beeper. Before we give this book away, I do have a few announcements from our agency to go over. One of the announcements that I have is a huge announcement. We have a save the date.
Oh
For
man.
what, you might ask? Save the date. Harley Party 26 will be on July 31st, 2021. That is huge.
That
Last
is.
year, we were not able to have the Harley Party because of COVID, but this year we are going to go ahead and have it. More details will come soon. The Harley Party is one of our biggest fundraising events that will provide funds to our agency throughout the year. These funds allow us to continue support for the many children, families, survivors, and veterans in our area. After placing a pause on the event last year due to the pandemic, we are excited to have the community join us again for a day of food, fun, and festivities. So mark your calendar. The Harley Party 26 will be July 31st. 2021. Later on in the year, we will talk about how you can help with that event. If you'd like to volunteer for that event, we'll have more information for you soon. So let me go ahead and count some of the comments that are coming in. Let's see, it looks like Chelsea Riles started with acts of service. Will you tell me when to stop, Teddy? I'm
Okay.
gonna
Yeah.
highlight everybody's. Will you tell me when to
Sounds
stop?
good.
Next, I have Angelique with physical touch, Caitlin with physical touch, Stephanie with physical touch, Irene with acts of service. Ooh, and she listed all of them. Stephanie with quality time, Angelique with words of affirmation, Irene Lopez with gifts, Stephanie with words of affirmation,
And this is the winner.
and we have Kesley Lucille with quality time.
Oh,
Kesley,
awesome.
you are the winner of our book.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Congratulations. I know that you're going to love this book. I know that you're going to learn so much from it. And I look forward to you hosting this broadcast the next time that we talk about the five love languages. So I hope you get prepared.
Get
But
prepared.
congratulations, Kesley. If you guys have any comments, any questions about the five love languages, if you would like to know more about the five love languages, hit us up and let us know. We would love to share any of the information that we have with you. Thank you for joining us for this broadcast. Join us next week to continue this conversation so we can see how we can implement this with our family, especially our children and our teens, and in the workplace. So we hope that you guys have a great week. Teddy, I hope you have a great week, a
Thank you.
great
You too.
weekend,
Mhm.
and we will see y'all next
I'll see
time.
y'all later.